Alright, today I'm going to be replacing the brake pads on my little truck. I have the truck jacked up already, removed the tire. I have a jack underneath it and a hydraulic jack as well. And I normally I'm used to putting the tire underneath the truck. Just in case for some crazy reason both of the things fail, I'm not gonna, and I'm working on underneath the vehicle, that it's not gonna come all the way down. That is gonna be stopped at least by the wheel. Anyway, so I got three things. Also, I have everything ready to start unbolting the brake caliper. And before doing any of that, what I do is I come to the engine compartment and I opened up the brake fluid reservoir, which right now is a little too much, because when I compress the piston on the caliper, it's going to push the fluid into the reservoir. So that's why I have it open. So I'm going to start taking this thing apart and get the brake pads replaced. I normally loosen up the bolt with the wrench, and then the rest of it just do it by hand. It's a lot faster than turning the wrench. Okay, here we go. Not sure you can see it. Okay, it's kind of blocking a little bit. There it is. So this is the piston that I'll be compressing to be able to install the new brake pads. See, right now it's sticking out quite a bit. All this is the piston out. So I'm going to be pushing it in to be able to install the new pads. Alright, normally you hang this with a piece of wire or something. That way it does not pull onto the brake line. I have to go get a wire. There we go. I got a little piece of wire. Got this thing loose. You can loop it from one of the things for the poles. Wrap it around the control arm. And like that, it won't hang and won't put pressure onto the brake line. Alright, let's take a look at the brake pads. Brake pads are not horrible, but they're pretty low already. So to me, that makes it time for them, good time to be replaced. See how this one is? This is what a brand new looks like. See the difference on the meat? They call the meat, the material. And I'm replacing them with Toyota brake pads also. Just because I know that they will last. So I'm going to lock the pin over here to make sure you just lock it. See nice in there. See the different in the pads. Alright, once you mount, you transfer all the little backing little plates onto the new pad. Make sure you mount it in the same way that it was mounted originally. You could not mount it like this, it would not make sense. You have to follow the curve of the rotor. I normally push one side down first and then just push the pad in. Boom. And there it is. And that's the new pad mounted on the outside. Now I've got to replace the one on the inside. And it comes out to be able to bring it out. Oops, comes right out. Push one side, pull it in. All right, same as the other one. I'm gonna transfer the plates and the little clip onto the new pad. This one was not as bad, but definitely time to get better for me to replace it. Another thing you always check when replacing the pads. This little, and all vehicles are different. This little mounting point, this is where the screw bolt mounts onto, the one that hold the caliper. These have to be able to move freely. See how this one moves freely in and out? If they're not, they're gonna cause your pads to be riding and staying stuck. So these are, if they're not moving freely, you have to remove them, lube them up really well with high temperature grease, and then you should be good to go. Also, it's a good time to inspect the rotor. Make sure there's no deep grooves or anything like that. Let's see. This feels nice and smooth on both sides actually. So I'm just going to be doing the pads and and calling it a day. I also try to clean up the caliper before putting it in, before pushing the piston in. All right, let me go ahead and start transferring the plates from the other one. By the way, that's the part number for the pads that I'm using. 04465-Apple Zebra 104. This is a 5-log Tacoma, just in case, 07. Not pre-run at 5-log, meaning it only has 5 logs, so they have 6 logs. All right, so let me go ahead and transfer the little backing plates from the pad to the new one. Pretty straightforward. Some people will put a little bit of grease or something down behind them, or here, which contacts the other one, but you should be okay, so have pressure. I'm trying to do this thing. Put over here, this one has a little thing. All right, came right out. Just push it in. Demonstrate this all the way in. This acts like a little spring. When you push that little pad in its place. All right, so it's all good to go. Again, just a comparison shot of the different old one and the new one. Like I said, this one, you can still drive this thing for a while. But since I'm planning on going on a long trip on the little truck, I did not want to have to risk it. Having the pads being too low. When it comes to, with the brake pads, I just rather not play and be safe than sorry. Okay, now I'm going to install the pad back into the brake assembly. Go. Hands get a little dirty when doing this kind of stuff, but some people use gloves. Gloves are getting a little expensive now, especially with this virus stuff going on. But anyway, I don't normally try to use gloves whenever painting, because painting gets your hands really messed up. These I can just wash them off. This is not bad. Alright, before compressing the piston on the caliper, make sure to remove, in my case I have to because it has too much on it. I have to remove some of the brake fluid. What I'll be using is a turkey baster. Make sure it's clean. This is brand new. And dispose of it where you dispose like the oil or something. Also, by the way, you do not want to let this thing touch the paint. This is really messed up for paint. I mean, it will eat up your paint. A couple of drops fell on mine, so I'm gonna have to clean that up. I'm going to compress the piston on the caliper, which is this part right over here. I wipe this down to make sure there's no dirt on it, and now I'm gonna just spray it up with brake part cleaner. Just in case there's anything else that I missed, you know, there'll be easier to push it in. This thing dries up really good. Sprayed it with that and then just wipe it down with a dirty rag. All right, now that it's ready, so now I have the reservoir open, and I'm ready to push the piston in. I already have both of the pads mounted on here. So what I use, they have special tools to be able to do this, but what I use is I use a regular C-clamp and an old brake pad, and this is how I do it. Again, people do it all kinds of different ways, so just got to make sure you're pushing it in all the way evenly. You don't want the piston going like sideways on one side or another. It should be going in smoothly, like right now it's going in nice and smooth. And I go slow. You don't have to be, you know, this is definitely never rush. And as you're pushing in, you have to check the reservoir to make sure that you don't overflow it. Even though I already removed fluid, I still check. I don't want to have brake fluid falling on the paint on the engine compartment, because the brake fluid would actually burn out the paint. It's really bad for paint. Oh, that's nice and smooth. So before I push the piston all the way in, I check it. Even though it should pretty much be going all the way in, but I try not to push it in more than I have to. And you can tell, for example, here I still have to push it in because it will now go over around the caliper. So I still have to push it in further in. Again, I put the wire in to hang it so that it will not put pressure on the brake line. There it goes. It's a nice hang. You can see it? Yes, you can see it. All right. Put the pad in. Put the clamp. Screw it in a little more. It's a good sign when it goes right in smoothly. If it's not going in, that means that the piston is starting to get stuck. Almost there. This might be best like with a bungee cord, but I normally use whatever I have available. So right now I have this wire, so that's what I'm using. Just a little bit more, and it should be good to go. Again, I'm stopping, I'm looking at the reservoir just to make sure that it's not overflowing, I mean. It looks good. See, the piston is almost all the way in now, pretty much. That's just news. Alright, there's going in. Alright, now the caliper is sitting over the bats again. Now it's sitting okay. Now all I have to do is bolt up the little screws. Then I'll tighten them up and I'll be good to go. And then I have to do the other side. I would try to start the screws by hand. Don't want to cross thread them or anything like that. Alright, the last thing you have to do is make sure that the nuts are pretty nice and tight. They have a nut here that spins, and you will need a really small wrench to be able to stop it. I don't have one that small, so I'm using a pair of pliers to stop it, and it's nice and tight now. Alright, one down. I just have to do the other one and I'll be good to go. Alright guys, I'm all done with the brakes. I completed the other side. Now hopefully the little truck should be able to, I won't have to worry about the brakes anymore. Also, one other thing I forgot to mention, make sure that after you install the brake pads, break them in, beat them in. Don't slam on the brakes or anything like that. You have to break them in a little bit. And make sure that it's loose enough so you can spin the rotors on it. There's going to be a little resistance, but make sure you got to get the piston back into the caliper all the way in, because if not, the rotor will be dragging as it turns. But overall, I'm really satisfied. Everything went well. The other piston went perfectly fine in. So I'm happy with the results. Afterwards, I went ahead and cleaned down the suspension and stuff. Anyway, just a little touch that I like doing. When I had my old car, every time I changed the oil, I would wipe down everything that I could underneath it to make sure I kept it nice and clean. So even though this is an older little truck, I still want to take care of it, because hopefully, you know, it'll last me for quite a few years. And I just like taking care of my things. Alright guys, thanks for watching. If you guys enjoy it, you know, hit the like button and think about subscribing. I have a few more projects to do on this little truck. Alright, thanks guys, have a good day. Bye bye. Alright, here's the passenger side. It looks great. It was dusty, so I cleaned it up. I blew the dust off of it, but the shoes look great. They look like they were replaced.